Hello, this is my EDL 851 Model 13 or Module 13 case study. A good teacher turns bad. Category 1 was problem identification and what do you know? We know that Mrs. Wilson is the principal of the school. We know that Mrs. Horton is the first grade teacher. She's also a former teacher of the year going through some changes. She had disagreed with program change and made it evident during a meeting time. And now her first grade classroom, the parents of the kids are making phone calls to the principal wanting their child out of the classroom. What do you need to know? We need to know a policy from the school, as in when we have these parent meetings, what is our policy? Who needs to be there? And what can we ask and what can we not ask? We need to ask Mrs. Horton if there's anything we can help with. I don't believe we can ask what's going on at the home. That's really none of our business. If she wants to tell us, that's one thing, but we can just offer our help and support if we can. And we can also offer time off and put a substitute in the classroom, and hopefully everything gets itself worked out. What is the problem? Well, the problem is she's berating other teachers and being very vocal about changes that the school wants to make. Parents are upset with the way their children are being treated in the classroom, and they're making phone calls. They set up Mrs. Horton, Mrs. Wilson set up a parent meeting, and shortly into the parent meeting, she snapped at the dad. So that is a problem. Category 2 is proposed plan of action. First of all, we need to follow up on the conference for the new reading program. I don't think that went over very well. The next meeting didn't go over well. They need to do something else. You can't just let that slide. Figure out what her problem was, have another sit down with her. We all have to be on board on this. There's got to be a plan of action put in place just because of that aspect. One of the things that, as a principal, we should do is have multiple walkthroughs, gathering data. Just keep going through every day, a couple times a day, just gathering more and more data. So when a parent calls in or we have a parent meeting, we can go over our facts, not just what we think is going on. Another thing we can do is we can assign a para or a teacher's aide into the classroom, another set of eyes, another adult in the classroom, both for the students, the teachers, and for gathering data. We need to have a conference to put a plan of action in place. We need to have something. So meeting with the superintendent, other building principals, kind of get that rolling and see where we can go, both for the reading program as well as the classroom curriculum and attitudes. I think at this time, with the parent already coming in and getting snapped at, we have to move the student, whether we like that policy or not. Nothing good's going to come out of it. The parent already knows that the teacher's upset, and the kid is now justified. So we don't want to move all the students. We just simply can move this student and then go from there. We need to offer time off. If she needs time off to kind of continue to deal with this, maybe get some counseling. Not something that we can recommend or mandatory, just an offer. Category 3 is resolve the issues. What is best for the students? Mrs. Horton will continue in the classroom with supervision and change as needed, but change need to be noticeable. That would be my plan of action. She can stay there. We're going to put some of these things in place, and hopefully it helps. If not, then Mrs. Horton will have a plan of action, a meeting with the district. This needs to be more than just the principal's decision. We need to have the superintendent involved and what other policy and stakeholders we have in it. Students will not be involved. I'm not going to interview this. I don't think we should interview the students. If they discuss in conversation or whatever is brought up, we can listen. But these guys they're first graders. Data and facts. Parents are becoming upset. We know that. That's a fact. We've got phone calls on it. Teachers have seen disruptive behavior again, not only from the classroom, but also in our meetings when they were trying to implement new curriculum. And it is affecting the first graders. We know that because the parents are making phone calls. Category 4. Category 4 is on debriefing the problem. How are you feeling during the problem? The main thing is I felt better for the kids. They're very influential at the first grade level, and hopefully we caught this early enough in the school year that either Mrs. Horton can come back and be a positive teacher in the classroom, or we'll find another teacher. But very big years for kids, and we just can't have a teacher in there like that. So I felt bad for the kids. Well, I was concerned for Mrs. Horton and her well-being as well. Again, as a principal, I can't ask what's going on. She's more than welcome to tell me, and I would listen. But I'm concerned for her because obviously, going from a teacher of the year to having these difficulties, there's something going on, and we need to be supportive of her and her feelings as well, and her family. Um, I'm concerned for the staff to see as they see a friend and a colleague struggle. They're not used to that. So I'm concerned for them. I'm sure they're trying to do stuff, and their minds elsewhere, where hopefully it's on their classroom. Um, and we want to handle appropriately for all involved. I mean, we can't go off the rails here. We have to have our policies in place. We have to do what's right for everybody, and we have to stick within our boundaries. What issues are still unresolved? Well, there's a few. Has Mrs. Horton received help? Has their attitude changed? That's a monitoring progress. That's something we're going to need to go through the classrooms quite often and make sure, again, with maybe an aide in the classroom to help with that. How's the class doing? Are the kids learning? With or without Ms. Horton, we need that class to continue as normal first graders, learning the curriculum they needed and also develop. How are the teachers acting? After the altercations, they saw Mrs. Horton change. They saw the teacher of the year, Mrs. Horton, and then they've seen this one that disagreed with the change in policy. So how are they handling everything? And then now, are the parents in a better place about the school? They were pretty upset. So if we showed a change and they can see the change, then hopefully we have them back on our sides. If not, we're going to have to figure out a program in order to show them that. I'm category 5, standard 2. As a building leader, I know we need to help both the teachers and the students. Mrs. Horton could become the teacher of the year person again. I mean, she has that capability. We just have to make sure that we help her get to that. If we're doing help here, I'm afraid she might not be able to teach again. If something goes bad, then she won't probably be teaching in our building anymore, and hopefully get some help, and then maybe you can teach in a different district, but it probably would not be at our building. We also must think about the kids after seeing a few of the outbursts. Change must be made at that time. We hopefully have changed to a substitute for a little bit and get back on track. And the kids won't know any different if Mrs. Horton comes back after a week or two and does a really good job. That's not something that's going to affect a first grader. So that's my case study. Really interesting. I talked to our building principal about this, and he said two things that are for sure going to happen. You're going to have a teacher go through difficulties, and you're going to have parent phone calls, and you need to be ready for it. So I like this case study as that hopefully help me in a situation down the road. Thanks.